What's going on, guys? Ants Trades back with another video. This is pretty much a surprise video. I wasn't really planning on doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just a heads up, this video might be pretty long. I'm going to be going over everything from front to back, from the very first video I made until today, covering everything, my thesis as a whole, everything that I called from the beginning, and pretty much just how everything is played out. We'll start with the SPY. I told you guys that media, for a while, mainstream media has been pumping bullshit about how the market's going to tank and this and that, and retail is just like buying into it and bearish on the SPY, and they're pumping all this garbage into your face. Meanwhile, they're setting up a bullish reversal. I called SPY to break out of this descending broadening wedge that it's been trading in since what is it, November of 2021. When we were like in this range here, I was calling for this to break out, and if you recall me saying too, I also said there was a possibility that we could see a double top. I mean, we have some time until we see that, but I did call SPY breaking out of its descending broadening wedge when we were in this range here. I was expecting it. It aligns with my thesis on AMC. It aligns with everything. So that's that. I'm gonna come back to that, but I really quickly want to just show you guys this. This is Ape. When I made my first video, Ape was below its neckline. I was calling Ape to break its neckline of its inverse head and shoulders, which is bullish, and that's what we got. And I saw some gaps. That's Ape. Really quickly into AMC. And I'm gonna go back to the SPY, but this is the descending wedge that we've been trading in for 2 years now. I was calling for AMC to break out of its descending wedge and squeeze, and that's exactly what happened. So all three breakouts of the patterns that I've called for the SPY, for AMC, and for Ape has happened. From my first video, I said I was expecting all three to break out and to see runs in all three. And so far, all three of them have broke out to the upside. So that's that. So yeah, and I also said you'd see a narrative change. I think that was in my first video. I said that you're going to see the narrative start to shift back into our favor, which, I mean, that's what you kind of saw for the past couple weeks. News articles about how meme stocks are surging again. Wall Street Bets is back, this, that, the other. Occupy SEC, which I think that's complete bullshit. I think that was a plant just as a narrative shift. Personally, who knows? To me, I think the timing of it is kind of strange. It just looks like it's staged to me. It looks like they're trying to paint the narrative in a different way. Shifting back to retail investors, fighting against them, to have something to shift the blame when AMC rockets next week. So that's just my opinion on that. Guys, in this video, I'm pretty much going to be covering my entire theory once again on AMC, from front to back, and why I'm expecting AMC to squeeze next week, why I've been expecting AMC to squeeze since my first video, and that's pretty much it. I'm not going to really touch on the SPY. I might touch on Ape later on, but very briefly. So pretty much with the SPY, I called this to break out, and this is 2 years long in a descending broadening wedge, and I called it right here that this was going to break out to the upside and keep running, and so far that's what's happened. So really quick, let's jump into AMC and we'll talk about this for a little bit. Not sure if everyone saw my full theory video, so I'm just going to start this over, and I'm going to do this from the beginning and pretty much explain to you guys why I'm expecting AMC to see new highs next week. As crazy as that sounds, but my theory is it's solid, guys. It really is. So we'll start from IPO on the stock, which was roughly January 14. Now I believe that this stock and many other stocks, even cryptos, Bitcoin, they trade on 3-year cycles. So you get a shift in the trend after every 3 years. It can go bullish to bearish, bearish to bearish again, bullish to bullish, bullish to bullish. It doesn't have to alternate back and forth. You could have 4 bullish cycles in a row. So just keep that in mind. because I had a lot of people saying, oh, so if we went bullish, bearish, bullish, wouldn't it go back to bearish? No, it doesn't have to do that. And I'll get into that. So starting with the 3-year cycles, AMC IPOs roughly January 14, 3 years later, roughly January 17. This is an 100% move from IPO. $11 IPO, $22 3 years later. This is a bullish 3-year cycle on AMC. And then from January 17 to January 2020, you have a bear cycle where you have a repeating bear flag over and over and over again until you get to January 2020 where you get a cycle reset. Now, really quickly, this is when this disaster started, when, you know, the CDC announced the outbreak of COVID in January 2020. AMC really wasn't doing too great in that time to begin with, so hedge funds start shorting the stock, thinking, oh, you know, with the COVID lockdowns and everything, we could drive them out of business. And so they short the shit out of the stock. Retail catches on, starts buying it, holding it, never selling it, and then this is the mess that you get because of that. So January 2020 to January 2023, 3 years. Again, this is another bull cycle. From here, it was about 424. We're trading at 606 right now, probably about a 40% move or so. That's another bull cycle that we got. From June, you know, we've been going down this whole time. I mentioned this too. This is a descending wedge, which is a bullish reversal pattern. This is bullish, and we just broke out of it. So I'm expecting to see new highs. So that's 3 years there. And okay, so when you get the cycle reset here, the algo starts running this pattern here. These 3 fractals that I've talked about a million times with you guys. You get this movement here that leads up to the rip in January. Now I know I mentioned that this is, I say, oh, we hit all-time highs here. Obviously we didn't, because the stock price was higher back here. But for the sake of argument, for simplicity's sake, I say all-time highs. Really, I'm just running a fib extension off this, and that's where you're getting your peak. So I'm going to explain that later. I'm going to try to clear that up a little bit for some people. Now, so January 2020 to January 2023. So now we're expecting a cycle reset, right? So from January 2023 to January 2026, I'm going to get into what I'm thinking is going to happen there. But this is very clearly looking like we're getting another bullish cycle here. We broke out. This is a descending falling wedge. It's a bullish reversal pattern, and we broke it to the upside. So it looks like we're going to get some continuation to the upside. It looks like we're going to get another 3-year bull cycle here. That's just what it looks like to me. I'm expecting all-time highs next week. I'll get into that. Really quickly, I want to show you guys this. Listen, guys, I've been studying this chart for a very, very long time. You know, my YouTube account is fairly new. It's probably 2 or 3 weeks old at this point, and it's gained popularity pretty quickly. And you know, some people call it hopium. Some people think I'm spreading bullshit. Really, I'm just presenting you guys with facts. This is, you know, research I've done on my own, and coincidences and things that I've found, and, you know, the way that I've seen the stock move. So I'm going to go into the bars pattern, but really quickly, for anyone who hasn't seen this yet, I've been comparing this breakdown out of this flag here in November. These 3 fractals here, I've been comparing these to these 3 fractals here for a very, very long time now, and I'm telling you, it's the exact same thing. It is the exact same thing. The movement is the exact same thing. The candles are a little bit different because I'm never going to pull a bars pattern here and put it here, and it's going to overlay perfectly. That'll never happen. Again, keep in mind that this was flat. The bottom here was the bottom the whole time, and then it's repeating here, but we're in a descending wedge now, so it's just descending. You could picture picking this up, and now it would be tilted down. That's exactly what you have here. It's the same pattern playing out, but it's descending. Now, from the bear cycle that we get in January 17 to January 2020, when you get the cycle reset, you have a descending resistance line. And now this descending resistance line runs over the 3 fractals that we have here. Just the same as this descending resistance line runs over the 3 fractals here. Same exact thing. So, as it runs over in the pre-January 2021 squeeze, there's no touch points in the green, and then in the red, as it transitions into the blue, you get your first touch point on the descending resistance line. Exact same thing here, no touch points in the green, and then as the red transitions into the blue, you get your first touch point. In the middle of the blue, you get your second touch point, where you get the U and the higher U. You have the same exact thing here. You get your second touch point there. Same exact thing here. U, higher U, touch point. And then the third touch point, you come down, hit it one more time, come down, hit it one more time, and then you retrace, you break out, right? You retrace here, you break out, and you get a gap up, and then another candle next to it. After your third touch point, we have the exact same thing here. Third touch point here. Third touch point here, you get your retracement, you break out, get a gap up, and then another candle right next to it, right before the algo snaps, and you see all-time highs. I'm going to keep saying all-time highs just to keep it simple. This retracement was 1 day. The retracement that we had back here was 2 weeks, about 10 trading days. Now, I mentioned this before. This was very fucking annoying. The algo really slowed down here. I did mention that the algo is going to run its course. The pattern will run its course. It's going to be the same exact pattern, but it does have the ability to slow down, and it has the ability to speed up. And that's exactly what this was. So we got 1 day of retracement here, and then you break out, gap up, rip. Over here, 10 days of retracement, break out, gap up. What's next? Rip, in my opinion. So that is that. The odds of having 2 descending trend lines and then running over the same 3 fractals, because it's the exact same thing, guys, same shit. The odds of hitting your descending trend line in the exact same 3 places, guys, those odds are fucking out of this world astronomical. Crazy. Like, that is not a coincidence. No possible shot that could be a coincidence, guys. What it is the algo is running this shit on a pattern. It's on a loop, and it's just doing the same thing over and over again. So that's what that is. If you could look at this and be like, oh, maybe it just happened that way, and not actually sit there and think to yourself, what are the odds of that? And that these 3 fractals are the same exact thing as these 3 right here, and then you're hitting it in the same spot. I don't even know what to say. Those odds are fucking astronomical, guys. Just straight up. Really quickly again into the bars pattern. Doing this one more time. I said I wasn't going to do this anymore in my video yesterday. I'm giving you guys my full outlook, my full theory, all of my TA, and why I think we're squeezing next week. So I'm going to do this one more time here. Again, this is these 3 fractals here right before you squeeze. So from the breakdown in the flag in November, you come down, bounce up, come down, bounce up. You form your W. Do it here too. You rip back up to the top into the red. You come down, have a shelf. Come down, have a shelf here. Lower wick here. You have it here. Higher wick here. You have it here. Form a cup. Form a cup. Come down and up, and then rip back up to the top. Blue fractal. Come down to a point, bounce up. Come down to a point, bounce up. Keep coming down. You get this wick here. Higher wick here. Keep coming down. U, higher U, U, higher U. Come all the way down, bottom out. This was a V recovery. This we went flat for 10 days here. You bounce up, and this is pre-January 21. You get rejected off your trend line here. Retrace, same shit. Bounce up, reject off the trend line, retrace, breakout, gap up, and then you get the second candle right before you squeeze. Guys, I'm telling you, I have been studying this chart, and I've been following this for almost 2 years. Waiting. I was waiting for this shit to play out. When we bottomed out here and gapped up, that's when I made my YouTube channel, because I was like, all right, we're almost there. We're about to fucking squeeze. I didn't expect this thing the retracement here to play out for 2 weeks. The algo slowed down, is what it is. But we're about to squeeze, guys. I don't know how else I could say it to you. I really don't. So that's it for the bars pattern. Really quickly, I want to touch on this again, because I touched on this in my theory video, so I'm just going to do it again. This here is retail exhaustion at its finest. This is Wall Street and the algorithm trying to get us out of the play. It wants you out of the play. It wants you to sell. You have ups and downs. Think you're going to break out. You just never do. Ups and downs. Never breaking out. You just keep getting knocked off the trend line. Lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. Dragging the shit out. Exhausting retail. At the point that we're at right now, the only way you're up is if you bought here, pretty much. If you bought in these 3 fractals before this shit even started, that's like the only way you're up on AMC right now. So I'm sure that there's people that bought back here and have been holding the whole time, but this is retail exhaustion. They're trying to drive you out because they want you out. And I mentioned this too, and I'll just throw it up again really quick. OBV. through all of this bullshit here, all of the selling, OBV's in flat. You know, you rip up here, you have downward price action, rip out again, and then just from the June peak, we've just been down. But the OBV, guys, is just completely flat. Nobody is selling. This whole shit here is the algo ping-ponging back and forth. You know, your buy orders are not, you're not seeing the lit exchanges here. Your buy orders go into dark pool. When you buy AMC stock, it's not affecting the stock price at all. Not even a little bit. I mentioned in my theory video too, Elon Musk could drop $1 billion into AMC and the shit would trade sideways, because it would. There's no shares left to buy. They're all bought. You know, Adam Aaron says that retail owns 98% of the float. Guys, we own like probably 980% of the float. We own more than the float, way more. So, you know, knowing that, and you know, knowing that the computer is not, you know, letting our buy orders hit the exchange, it's just getting sent in a dark pool and sitting there. This is the computer just playing ping pong back and forth, you know, in a descending wedge, trying to get us out, forming lower lows, retail exhaustion. But we finally broke out, and I think we're about to squeeze. So, you know, that's all fine. But you know, at some point, this is a descending wedge. It's a bullish reversal pattern. It has to break out, and there's no more room here. This wedge is done. You know, like I mentioned this in the video too. When you break out of this wedge, right, you're getting a big move in either direction. Now, I said I don't see a world where we come back down to the bottom of this trend line and break to the downside of it, because if we did, we would go to $1 or sub $1 into pennies. And AMC fundamentally is worth more than that. That's just never going to happen. So what happened instead is we broke to the upside, and now I'm expecting a massive move. I'm expecting all-time highs, guys. I really don't know how to say it any other way than that. Let me just take everything off now. Really quickly, I want to show this. Now, I just said that AMC runs on 3-year cycles. I showed you my theory and what I think is going to happen for the next 3 years. I think we're about to see all-time highs here. We're going to cycle reset, and we're going to see all-time highs here, probably next week. And then we're going to form another pattern like this, and it's going to keep going like this. And then you're going to come all the way back down, through all this bullshit, you know, tiring retail out again. They're going to sell calls this whole time, you know, hedge themselves, make money back, you know, from the losses that they're incurring during the ups that we're getting here. This whole time they're making money, selling calls, selling puts. This whole time, same shit. They're making money. They hedge themselves. They let it rip again. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be a stairway to heaven for us, guys. We're just going to keep going up like this. You know, there's billions of synthetic shares that have to be bought at some point. Think about that. That's very, very important to think about. There's billions, speculation, but billions of synthetic shares that have to be bought. So they eventually have to be bought. That's why I'm expecting this to run like this, because January of 21, you know, that could have been the MOAS, but instead of letting this shit run to whatever number it was going to, they got it under control, and now they're just running it on a loop where we're going to stair step, and they could you know, keep it under control like that. They can hedge themselves the whole time, you know, selling calls this whole time, and make money back for the losses that they're incurring during all this shit, you know. So that's pretty much my theory. I think that we're just going to be running on a 3-year loop like this, and I don't think it ends here either. I think it's going to rip again higher. By this second rip here, the reverse split vote would have happened already. So that's going to probably throw a wrench in things. We have to see what happens with that, if it's a yes or a no, how it affects the stock. Regardless, I still think it's going to keep running. The price might be lower if the split goes through, but it's still going to keep running like this. So that is pretty much that. I could take this off now. And really quickly, I want to show you guys why I'm expecting 140. I'm telling you guys I'm expecting all-time highs next week, and I'm going to show you why now. So, you know I keep saying that the January 2021 rip was all-time highs. Obviously, it wasn't all-time highs for AMC. There's higher highs right here, but I just say it out of like the sake of simplicity. But really, what's going on is I'm running a Fibonacci extension from the bottom of this move to the top, back to the bottom, and then the January 2021 rip came up somewhere halfway in between the 2618 and the 3618. So, you know, I mentioned this too, barring buy button removal, maybe you could argue it would have went up to the 3618 all the way. But just to be safe, we'll say it comes up halfway between the 2618 and 3618. Fibonacci extensions, guys, are used to predict the top of a move. You take it from the bottom of a move to the top, back to the bottom of a move, and then you get a pretty good representation of where you could find your top. Now, I believe this thing's trading on a computer, and the computer trades on a loop. So if this came halfway between the 2618 and 3618, right? If that went halfway there, and then here's your June run, which again is from the bottom here to the top to the bottom, and the June run comes to 3618 on the dot, right? So we get halfway in between the 2618 and 3618 in January. June comes up to 3618 on the dot. So what do we expect for, in my opinion, next week? Now this is from the bottom here to the top of the June move to the bottom that we formed these 10 days trading down here. What do we expect for next week? I'm expecting another leg up to somewhere in between the 2618 and the 3618, and that range would be 106 to 145. Conservatively, you could say 106 to maybe 125. Conservatively, that's about halfway in between. Or you could just come all the way up to the 3618. I'm expecting the range to be somewhere in the middle here. I don't think, I mean, if we do come up to the 3618, it'll probably get stopped out there. I don't think we'll make it too much higher than that. Maybe 150 tops. So you're looking at a range of 106 to 150. Conservatively, you could probably call it somewhere in the middle, 125 to 135. Somewhere in that range is what I'm expecting. So that is pretty much that. What else did I want to talk about? For, the day of, and this is something that I found a while back too. Here's historical RSI on the stock. Just really quick, doesn't have to be like a crazy in-depth thing, but both peaks that we had, January and June, the RSI topped out at about 95, 96. So next week, if we start running and you see the RSI up in this area, probably safe to say the run's over. If you see 130, 140, that range, and the RSI is up here next week, pretty safe to say that's a top, and we're going to be coming back down. And then play this kind of cycle again, and then for a couple months before we rip again. So I don't think the squeeze is over after this week. If we do end up legging up this week, which I really think we're going to, I don't think the squeeze is over. I think it's going to just reset again, and we'll form some kind of pattern like this, break out again, squeeze again, like that. So that's pretty much the RSI. Okay, so that is that. Now, really quickly, all right, so I showed you guys the bars pattern. I showed you guys 3-year cycles and how it resets and how you get a different trend. I showed you guys the Fibonacci extensions and why I'm expecting my price targets that I'm expecting. These 3 fractals here have been playing out here perfectly, even to the daily candles that we've got for the breakout. You get your breakout here, gap up, get a sideways day. You get your breakout right here, you gap up, get a sideways day. The next day is this rip. That's where we are, guys. I'm telling you. I've been following this shit for 2 years. It's the same exact fucking thing. Touch points on the descending resistance in the same exact spot. Breakout in the same exact spot. Gap up in the same exact spot. And then a sideways candle right next to it. Guys, I'm telling you, this thing is running on a fucking loop. We're squeezing next week. I'm telling you. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but we're squeezing next week. So, I showed this in my video yesterday. I'm going to do it one more time. I'll throw the rectangles back on that I had yesterday so you could visualize this a little bit easier. Now, this is what you get when you finally find your bottom, which we did here. You find your bottom on the bottom of the trend line. This was just flat the whole time, right? And then you rip up and get rejected off the trend. You form your retracement pattern, and then you break out. And we have the same thing over here. Again, this trend line should be a little bit lower. It should be running through this. We got rejected here, wicked above it, and then it ran like this through it. So same thing. I mentioned that this was flat back here because the pre-January 2021 fractals were flat the whole time. And then in the descending wedge, it's the same 3 fractals, but it's descending. So the price action that we've had for the past 2 years has been descending. So here you get rejected, form a W, and then you break out, flatten out, gap up. Here, same thing, you form a W, break out, flatten out, gap up. Now this W is very ugly. Um, the reason being is not only is it descending, but the algorithm dragged this shit out for 2 weeks. This is a 2 week long retracement period of ups and downs, and it's descending, so it looks kind of weird. But the movement that you get is still the same. It just, you have to really have an eye for it and know what you're looking at, and have been tracking this for a while like I have. So what you get, now again, this trend line, we broke out of it down here, like right here, about, this was like the breakout point that we had. You come up, you break out, and then you flatten out. And we have the same thing, come up, break out, flatten out, and then you gap up, right? And then this is the movement that you get right before you squeeze. Here, the gap was smaller, and then we had some full bars that brought us to the top. Here, you just gapped up to the top. So you could picture this candle here is this candle right here. And then you get some downward price action. And then you come back up to the top a little bit higher, and you have the same exact thing here. And then you come down, and this low here is higher than the low that you had back here, just the same as this is. This is low higher than this low right here. And then, guys, next week, Monday morning pre-market, this is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting us to squeeze Monday morning pre-market. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work. Maybe we start squeezing pre-market and it just runs all day. I mentioned a scenario where maybe we start running Monday morning pre-market, get stopped out at a certain point, come down, cool off for a little bit, and then Tuesday morning pre-market, you continue the run and then reach your high there. It could play a couple different ways. I'm thinking that it's going to start on Monday. You don't have to worry if we don't start on Monday. This is forming higher lows here. Maybe the algorithm wants to drag this out a couple days here. You get like how this is forming this wave here, just like this, that is like a wave right before it rips. Maybe the algorithm wants to just drag this out a couple days like this, and then it lets it go. This retracement period here was a lot longer than this, and I'm not saying because of that this has to be a lot longer than this, but it is a possibility. We're still going to see an all-time high at some point in the very, very near future. I still think it's Monday. I think we're going to start the run on Monday. I'm just, preparing you guys that if we don't, and you just see some like higher highs, higher lows like this, like we're still fine. We're still going to rip. It's just, dragging it out a little bit longer. But guys, it looks fucking amazing. I'm telling you, I've been tracking this for over 2 years now, and it's been the same exact thing the whole time. The whole entire time. All of it. Even, I'll go to the daily really quick on the split screen so you guys can see. It's the same, guys, it's the same exact thing. Same exact thing. You find your bottom, gap up, get rejected off the wedge, retrace, break it. Find your bottom, start gapping up, get reject off the wedge, retrace. This was 2 weeks, very annoying. And then you break out. And then once you break out, you gap up, which we did. We gap up, same thing, same red candle. And I mentioned yesterday in my video, the volume profile on these 3 candles here was the exact same as well. And then after this candle, you get this candle, which is the same thing here. The bar closed in a different spot, but the range is still the same. So, it's the same exact thing, guys. I'm expecting next week to be pretty fucking crazy for us. It could be Monday morning, honestly. It could be Monday, it could be Tuesday. Around that time when we start running, I'm expecting us to start running on Monday. Are we going to reach all-time highs on Monday? I'm not sure. Maybe it could run into Tuesday morning. Maybe it starts slow on Monday, and then, Tuesday it starts getting a little bit crazier, and then Wednesday pre-market, you get your all-time high. I'm not a wizard, even though some of you probably at this point think I might be, but I'm not. And just like I said yesterday, the 2 peaks that we had in June and January were on a Wednesday, so maybe there's significance to that, and maybe we'll see another peak this Wednesday. But regardless of the fact, I'm still expecting all-time highs this week, and I don't think it's going to be the MOAS, guys. I think we're going to get stopped out, somewhere around the 2618, 3618 range up here. Around 120 to 150ish, somewhere in that range. I think we're going to get stopped out, and then play this pattern again here, and then before we rip again later in the year. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to give you guys like the full overview again. I figured some of you might appreciate this. A lot of people keep calling it hopium, but really, I'm just presenting you with facts. This is all, there's very little speculation in my theory. It's really not speculation, guys. It's facts of what's been going on. And since my first video, just think about it. I predicted the SPY to break out of a 2-year-long descending broadening wedge. What happens? SPY breaks out, starts ripping. I predicted AMC to break its 2-year-long descending wedge. What happens? It breaks out. I predicted APE to break the neckline of its inverse head and shoulders. What happens? It breaks out, starts gapping up. Guys, I haven't been wrong this whole time. The whole time. And some of you are still doubting me, and I don't fucking know why. I really, really don't. If I haven't been wrong this whole time, right, why would I be wrong about saying all-time highs? Just because your mind can't fathom that maybe we do see all-time highs? Just because you can't fathom something happening doesn't mean that it can't happen. And, I'm not really talking to most of my viewers. Like, I feel like the most of you guys that watch my videos, you're on board with my theory and you think that I'm onto something. And I don't think that I'm onto something. I know that I'm onto something, which is fine. I'm not trying to be like a cocky asshole or anything. I'm just saying I haven't been wrong. Why are people still doubting me? I have no fucking clue. So, I don't know. That's really it. I gave you like a brief summary of my my theory again, and guys, everything adds up. It all adds up perfectly. I really don't know what else to say anymore. We'll see what happens next week. I think we're fucking squeezing next week, seeing all-time highs. I think it's gonna be a crazy week. A lot of people keep asking, are they gonna take the buy button away? It's possible that they do. But it's gonna still run its course, though. Like, we're not gonna come up to $18 and they're gonna take the buy button away, and this thing is gonna, come crashing back down. This thing is gonna get to where it needs to go. They might halt it a couple times. Probably what's gonna happen. They're probably gonna halt it a couple times. Still, I don't think we're coming back down. I think it's still gonna get to where it needs to go, which is, up here into this range, up here. But there might be halts on the way. They might take the buy button away. There's probably gonna be some fuckery, but I still think we're gonna get up to this range. And more likely than not, it's going to end up being after hours of pre-market. So like there's less people FOMOing in, less people buying calls, that kind of thing. It saves them money that way. So that's more likely than not what's going to happen. I pinned one of my comments in my last video saying I'm going to be live streaming next week. I am going to be live streaming next week. I'm going to be trying to get everything set up. This weekend, I'm going to be getting a face cam and getting everything set up, ready to go. Probably going to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday because I'm not going to be able to sleep anyway. So I'm going to be up. I'm going to be waiting for 4 o'clock to see if we start seeing some movement, because I am expecting to see movement pre-market on Monday. So I will be waiting for that. And if this thing starts fucking ripping, I'm going to be live at 4 a.m. just so you guys know. And that is pretty much it. So everyone enjoy the rest of your weekend. I just wanted to make this video one more time before we go into next week and, cover everything again. So everyone enjoy the rest of your weekend, and, I'll see you guys on Monday.